The holidays are supposed to be the most magical time of the year, and yet this holiday season, more and more people are feeling the pinch of doing too much and stretching their budget too thin. In fact, a new survey has found that 46% of Americans said they still have holiday debt from last year that they're trying to pay off. And yet, despite all of that debt and high inflation rates, consumer spending is still predicted to increase to over $1,600 per shopper this year. And more people are chiming in to point out that holiday spending is starting to feel less about joy and togetherness and more about fulfilling a sense of obligation, even if we have to go into debt to fulfill that obligation. Hi there, friend, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Marissa, and this is A to Zen Life, where we talk about the A to Z of simplifying your way to a happier, richer, and all-around better life. And today I'm sharing a list of 40 things that I'm not buying as a minimalist this holiday season to save money and keep my home clutter-free. Especially because we just purchased a new house and it's the first house that my husband and I have lived in after decades of living in condos and apartments. Between the excitement of having my own yard to decorate and the insane amount of holiday ads and marketing that I'm getting bombarded with right now, I'm learning firsthand how tempting it is to go on a crazy holiday spending spree.
So it's only August 11th and they've already got the Halloween stuff out up here in Costco. I think it's getting earlier and earlier every year.
But after 8 years of minimalism, I also know that it's more important than ever for us to be picky about how we're spending our money and what we're bringing into our home. Because I've learned the important lesson that a lot of the things that bring us the most joy and meaning to our holidays are things that can't be bought in a store, and cutting out non-essential spending gives us more time and money to put towards the things that do matter to us and our kids. Now, a quick disclaimer here, this is just my list, and if you value or enjoy spending money on the things that are on this list, that is 100% okay. I'm not out here to try to be some kind of minimalist Grinch who's trying to turn your holiday from ho 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 to ho hum, because I'm a big believer that it's up for each of us to define what a rich and meaningful life looks like for ourselves, whether that's in our day-to-day lives or during the holiday season. So keep that in mind as we dive into this list, starting with number 1, which is over-the-top decorations. This is one of those things that I enjoy seeing in other people's yards and on social media, but I also know that I don't want for myself, because while I'm looking at those decorations, in the back of my mind, I'm also thinking, where are they putting that 8-foot tall disco skeleton and all of those Christmas ornaments when it's not the holidays? So even though we now have a house with a yard that I could decorate, I decided to keep our decorations very minimal. I just got a few decorations for indoors. I got a skull and some colorful pumpkins. And then when it comes to outside our home, I was trying to think about what I could buy that would give me the most bang for my buck, but also require the least amount of money and also energy putting up the decorations. So the solution that I came up with was to get one LED projection light that I project onto the outside of the front of our house, and it has these ghosts that then fly across the house at nighttime, and it makes it look haunted. And I've had friends and family members who had something similar like this for Christmas, and it was really cool. And I just love how it's low effort. It doesn't require a lot of cost, a lot of setup. You just basically plug it in and walk away. So I really am happy with how that turned out, and I will probably be doing the same thing for Christmas as well as Halloween. Another thing I'm not buying this holiday season, and Halloween specifically, is special trick-or-treating bags. I know that plastic buckets are very popular, at least in the USA, for trick-or-treating, and they come in shapes like pumpkins and ghost heads and Frankenstein heads and all these cute little designs. But over the years, I've decided that that's just not something that we really want to put money into and effort into storing every single year. So what I do is I just use our grocery bags that are these canvas bags. Wow, it just got really dark in here. And these are great because not only are they neutral, so they can fit with anyone's Halloween costume, no matter what it is, but then also they can hold up to 85 pounds worth of stuff. I mean, I don't know if they're gonna get 85 pounds worth of candy, but let's just say we're not minimalist when it comes to Halloween candy, okay? I know I've talked about these a lot, and I always get questions about them whenever I've mentioned them in past videos. So I will make sure to link these down in the description box below for you if you're interested to check them out. This is a good example of something that you can have in your home that serves multiple functions and is very useful. Number 3 on this list is adult costumes, and this is something that I have done in the past. In fact, I have been some kind of version of a fox for probably the past 8 to 10 years. But this year, I guess with the stress of the move and renovations and setting up house and some other things that I'm still dealing with as we settle in here, I just didn't feel so interested in dressing up this year. However, we did get costumes for our boys. They are both dressing up as characters from Naruto this year, which I'm super excited about as a huge Naruto fan for over 2 decades. So that's a fun experience that we're going to have together, and I just don't feel like I need to dress up to be able to enjoy that with them. Number 4 on this list is pumpkin spice products. When the weather starts to turn chilly and the leaves start to fall, it's suddenly pumpkin spice everything. I'm talking pumpkin spice candles, pumpkin spice body scrubs, pumpkin spice lotions. I think I even saw some pumpkin spice shampoo and conditioner the other day at Target. I think it could be really easy to fall into a pumpkin spice wormhole and just start buying up all of the different products. But the way that I like to enjoy pumpkin spice is by eating it or drinking it. So the other day I did enjoy a pumpkin spice latte with my friend at Starbucks. She just moved here from India a couple months ago and she had never had pumpkin spice anything. So I was really excited to share that with her. And then I will also make pumpkin spice drinks and pumpkin spice muffins at home myself. It's actually really easy to make the mixture for pumpkin spice. So I am opting out of pumpkin spice products like candles and lotions and body washes and scrubs and all that, and just enjoying my own pumpkin spice consumables here and there. Another thing I'm not going to be spending my money on this holiday season is holiday flavored alcohol. Maybe this is because I had a bad experience with some Goldschlagers back in my college days that completely put me off flavored alcohols, but I just never buy flavored alcohols anymore, and actually hard alcohols in general. My husband and I are just not fans of flavored alcohol in general. The most we might do is something called Glühwein, which is like a spiced wine that's very German. And it's funny because I actually enjoy it, but my husband, who's from Germany, does not. But that's the one exception. And other than that, we're not going to be buying holiday alcoholic drinks. Number 6 is Jello and treat molds. And this is another one of those items where there are endless possibilities. You can buy so many different Halloween or Thanksgiving or Christmas shaped products to make things like Jello or gummies or little chocolate treats shaped like witch hats. But I've found, after experiencing having bought these things in the past myself, that what I always am reaching for are my tried and true Jello molds. I have one Japanese square mold that I use when I want to make layered or finger Jello. And then I have some round molds that I use, especially during Halloween, to make something that I like to call giant cow eyeballs. And here's a picture of it right here. And I will link to the recipe for that down in the description box below, as well as a few other recipes that I use those molds for. But between the square and the round shapes, that's all I need. And so I'm not going to be buying any other of these Jello or treat molds. And the same thing applies to the next several items on this list. Number 7 is seasonal or holiday mugs. Number 8 is holiday throw pillows and blankets. And number 9 is holiday bed linens. And then number 10 is things like seasonal hand towels. I'm not a big fan of switching these things out by season or by holiday. And so I'm just going to use what we already have in use in the kitchen, in our bedrooms and whatnot. The one thing that I will say is that if you like doing this and you want to switch out your decor, instead of buying entire pillows, maybe just buy the pillow covers, and then you don't have to store so many pillows that can take up a lot of space. You can just fold those pillow covers into nice, neat little squares, and that way you can still have that decoration for the holiday without having to have ginormous pillows that take up a ton of storage. Number 11 is kind of a funny one, and that's that we don't buy turkeys when we're celebrating Thanksgiving. And that's pretty much because my husband is Chinese and he didn't grow up celebrating Thanksgiving and he doesn't enjoy turkey. So Instead of having the traditional Thanksgiving dinner, we have more of a kind of American Chinese fusion dinner. And instead of turkey, he'll make duck. So that's kind of a unique multicultural spin that our holiday has taken on. I do sometimes miss eating turkey, but then also because my husband doesn't enjoy it and my kids don't eat it, cooking a whole turkey would just be a big waste of time and money and energy. So that's why we've kind of modified our Thanksgiving menu to suit everyone's tastes. And then knowing that we don't cook turkeys for Thanksgiving, then that means that we also don't need a meat thermometer. The only time I've ever used a meat thermometer was when I was cooking turkeys. Therefore, since we don't cook turkeys anymore, we don't need to own a meat thermometer, so I won't be buying one this holiday season. Number 13 is a gravy boat, and this is definitely one of those things that I've been mindful about and had to actually resist buying because for some reason, I just find gravy boats so cute. Like they come in these cute little turkey shapes, or they have little funny sayings on the side. But then I also know that if I have a gravy boat like that, it's probably only going to get pulled out for Thanksgiving. And I'm also the only one in the family who wants to eat gravy. Neither my kids or my husband enjoy mashed potatoes and gravy. It's always just me eating it. So instead of buying and owning a gravy boat, what I do is I just put the gravy in our measuring cup, and even just this small amount is enough for me. I'm not gonna lie, I might finish this entire cup of gravy. I know it's not good for me, but it's Thanksgiving. So that's just an example of how I've swapped something that's very practical that I already own and use every single day for something that I would just use maybe once a year. Number 14 is fresh cranberries. And it's kind of funny because when I was a kid, I don't know if my taste buds are different or what, but I used to gobble down fresh cranberries like they were candy. But nowadays, as an adult, I just find them so sour. And for many years, still kept buying fresh cranberries, trying to get myself to eat them and my family to eat them. And of course, my husband and kids didn't want them at all. And I couldn't even force myself to eat them, and then they would just end up going to waste. So I stopped buying fresh cranberries because they always ended up not getting eaten and just going to waste. And nowadays, I don't want to waste money on food that doesn't get eaten and also create extra food waste, which also happens to be number 15 on this list, which is too much food. Now that we're back in the USA, and we don't have a large family around us, that means that we don't need as much food and we can just make enough dinner for ourselves and maybe enough to have leftovers the next day. But I definitely don't want to buy so much food and cook so much food that it ends up going to waste. And I think that when people hear the numbers about how much food gets wasted during the holidays, it is really surprising and it makes you realize how much money you're also wasting as well. So listen to this. An estimated 305 million pounds of food is wasted from Thanksgiving dinner alone, which is valued at over $400 million. And then for the overall holidays, the Ecology Center estimates that waste increases by 25% between Thanksgiving and New Year's, and that amounts to 1 million extra tons of wasted food. So I would definitely encourage you to be more mindful about how much food you're cooking this holiday season. And if you do have leftovers, either be sure and eat them in a timely manner, or know how to freeze or preserve them, or send them home with friends and family members. Who doesn't love getting leftovers? Number 16, holiday tablecloths. Number 17, holiday napkins. Number 18, holiday napkin holders. And number 19, holiday cookie cutters. These things are not things that I use on a day-to-day basis anyway, so I don't feel compelled to go out and buy them for the holidays either. Another thing I'm not buying is disposable plates and utensils. And growing up, this is something that my family definitely used a lot around the holidays, whether it was 4th of July or Thanksgiving, to cut down on the amount of dishes that would need to be washed up afterwards. However, minimalism has made me a lot more mindful about how much waste I'm creating. And so, along with trying to cut back on things like food waste, I have also tried to cut back on how much waste I'm creating from things like single-use and disposable items. So I personally choose to have 12 sets of plates and utensils That way I don't have to buy disposable plates and utensils that are just going to be thrown away after one use. And the thing about having 12 sets is it also gives me a little bit of wiggle room and allows me to not own then a lot of things like extra serving trays and serving platters, because I can just plate things up on a regular plate and serve them. So number 21 on this list of things I'm not buying is holiday serving plates and platters. Another thing I'm not buying is special annual holiday collections. So when I was growing up, my family was all about collectibles. And every year I would get all of these holiday Barbies, and then I would get the holiday Barbie ornaments, and my dad would get holiday coin sets. Nowadays, I think that it's things like holiday Starbucks mugs or holiday Stanley mugs. And then every year you feel like you're compelled to keep buying these things in the collection. And they can end up taking up a lot of space and end up costing you a lot of money. And a huge part of my minimalism journey was decluttering a lot of these collections that I had spent literally decades accumulating, not just me, but also my parents and my grandparents. And going through that experience kind of put me off on collections and collectibles in general. However, I will say that I have been feeling tempted with a holiday collection lately, which is this Southern Living yearly annual recipe compilation. Here's one from 2023 and here's the one from 2020. I found these at our local library and I must have checked both of these out like a dozen times already because I'm just obsessed with reading them and I love and have tried a lot of the recipes in them. So I have been actually thinking about starting to collect these. However, I'm not going to do it this year. I can wait until next year. So that's something that I'm considering. But other than that, I have said no to holiday collections in general for years now. Number 23 is Nutcrackers. And I remember at my aunt's house, I think she had multiple Nutcrackers that would sit out on the shelf. But then whenever anyone wanted to eat nuts, they would just use the regular metal ones. And so the Nutcrackers themselves kind of became irrelevant. And nowadays with my family, if we want to eat nuts for the holidays, we just buy bags of shelled nuts so that we don't have to mess with cracking them open ourselves, which means that then we don't need to own Nutcrackers in any shape or form. Number 24, holiday makeup. Number 25, holiday lotions or body sprays. Number 26, holiday wreaths. And number 27, holiday cake or bundt pans. I once thrifted a bundt pan that was like a special edition holiday flower bundt pan. It was shaped like a chrysanthemum. And then what I found when I finally ended up using that bundt pan is that it was just a horror to clean. And when I look at all of these different cake and bundt pans that are shaped like the cute little houses or churches or ornaments or Santa Clauses, all I can think is I know exactly how hard it is to try to get the cake and the dried crispy stuff out of those little cracks and crevices. So that's why nowadays I say no to these holiday cake and bundt pans. Number 28 is special holiday or seasonal hot chocolate mixes. Instead of buying special mixes, we just make our own with plain old cacao. This is something that I picked up from my husband who used to do this in Germany, and it's just as good as hot chocolate that you can buy from the store. Number 29 is candles or candlesticks. When you go to the store, there are so many cute candles in all different shapes and sizes, and it's really tempting to buy them. But in the past, I know that when I've bought candles, they never end up getting used and just end up collecting dust on the shelf. And I've gotten rid of a lot of candles in the past. So that tells me that I'm not someone who appreciates candles and therefore I don't need to be buying them. Another thing that I don't buy is special outfits for holidays or parties. So I definitely used to be someone who, when they had a birthday party coming up or a Christmas party or something, would go out and buy a special outfit just for that event. And then 99% of the time after I wore it that one time, it never ended up getting worn again and then eventually just got decluttered. So I've opted out of the practice of buying special outfits for special events and just instead go to my closet and use what I already own. And I've been wearing this Christmas sweater, the infamous Christmas tree pizza sweater, for the past 7 or 8 years now, and it always gives me a giggle when I pull it out of the closet for the holidays. But besides this, I don't really feel tempted to buy any more special outfits for Thanksgiving or Christmas or New Year's or whatever. I also am not going to be buying any holiday socks or slippers either for myself or for other members of the family. Now, we do wear slippers in the house, especially during the winter months, because it does tend to get really, really cold. And especially with the tile floors that we have in here, our feet can get really, really cold. But we just wear the slippers that we have already got instead of buying special ones for the holidays. I'm actually wearing my slippers right now. Let me take them off and show them to you. So these are my really cozy slippers that I wear pretty much all the time when the weather turns cool. And I like that they're neutral, so they look good even if I'm just walking around the house in my pajamas. And then a couple Christmases back, I gave each of my boys a Minecraft wearable blanket and a pair of Minecraft slippers. And that was one of the best purchases I've ever made for them because they love it. And when the weather is cool, they wear those things every single day. Even when it's hot outside, sometimes they're trying to wear their wearable blankets and I'm like, take that off. It's like 75 degrees in here and you're sweating. I'm also not going to buy any matching pajama sets for all of our family members to wear, and we're not going to be spending money on family photo shoots either. I think that family photo shoots can be really fun if you have a tradition of doing them already, but we've only done one family holiday photo shoot ever, and we used it for Christmas cards that year, and then we've never done a family photo shoot or Christmas cards since then. So because it's not part of our current tradition, it's not something that I'm going to be putting time, money, or effort into this year. Number 34 is gingerbread house kits. This is also something that we've never really had a tradition around, and therefore I don't feel like spending money on. However, if we did want to make gingerbread house for whatever reason, say my kids were interested in it, I would just go and buy the ingredients from the store and we could make them ourselves. Another holiday item I'm not buying is wrapping paper, and this is something that I've been doing for a few years now, and I've talked about in previous videos, which I will make sure to link down in the description box below if you're interested in checking those out, which is instead of using wrapping paper, what I'll do is I'll use fabric scraps or things like these muslin blankets that I have from when my kids were itty bitty little babies that I used to swaddle them with, and I will wrap the presents using fabric instead of paper. And considering that millions of tons of wrapping paper waste is created each year and a lot of it is done at Christmas, just making this simple swap can cut out a lot of paper waste. Number 36 is stockings and stocking stuffers. Number 37 is gag or white elephant gifts. Number 38 is advent calendars. And number 39 is tons of storage bins. One of the benefits of being a minimalist is that when you don't own a ton of holiday items, that also means that you don't need to own a ton of storage bins to store those holiday items in the off season. I'm not going to name any names here, but I know one home decor blogger and influencer from a few years back who said at that time she had 174 boxes of Christmas stuff alone that she was storing in multiple places like her garage and extra barns. And I don't know about you, but I don't have enough space or interest in storing that amount of stuff. So I just would much rather keep things minimal and simple. And finally, the last thing I'm not spending money on this holiday season is anything that I would have to buy with debt. When it comes to spending money, my personal philosophy is if I can't afford to buy it with cash, then I can't afford to buy and own that thing at all. And I think that this philosophy could help a lot of people with a lot of their financial stress around the holidays. Going back to the study that I mentioned at the beginning of this video, no one should have to go into debt because they feel obligated to spend money to make the holidays feel a certain way for themselves or their families. I think that this financial expert puts it really, really well when they say going into debt for non-essential items, even if they are in the spirit of giving, is a poor decision. Remember the long-term implications. If you can't take care of yourself, you're not going to be able to take care of others. So in that case, practicing minimalist shopping habits like sticking to a budget, and shopping according to a list and only buying a few special items for each person, or opting out of gift giving altogether, can be really, really helpful in avoiding debt this holiday season. And if you want to hear more about that, make sure to go check out one of these videos, or I'll see you next week. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.